Hello, I'm Carl Weatherell, Executive Director and CEO of the Canada Mining Innovation Council, and welcome to our Innovation in 5 video series. Today, we're very fortunate to be joined by Mr. Gordon Bogden. Gordon has a wealth of experience across the spectrum of mining as an M&A advisor, investment banker, CEO of mining company, board director in mining companies, chair of the board of mining companies, an advocate of innovation, and happens to be the past chair of CMIC. Welcome, Gordon.
Good morning, Carl. Thank you. Good to be here.
And I did a really brief introduction to you that did not do you justice. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So, I got into the mining game over 40 years ago. I'm a geophysicist and started working up in the bush in northern Canada, and then for a geophysics company that got me over to about a dozen countries around the world for 10 years, out there doing geophysical exploration surveys, and started my first company as a geophysicist and providing those kinds of surveys and helping design exploration programs. So got into that, and it was a wonderful experience being at the front end of the wedge of discovery, and which feeds the whole mining industry. Then became an investment banker and was there to help bring companies through on building and developing some of these discoveries and things, which was tremendous, and moved through that. It was a wonderful experience in helping to work with management teams, boards of companies as this mining industry internationalized in the 90s and the noughts, and it was a terrific experience doing that. Was involved in a lot of board work during that time, toward the end of it, and after I retired as an investment banker, working on corporate boards for mining companies as well. And so that gave me a little more, being on the other side of the table, actually, working with the management teams and helping guide the development of some mining companies, operations and investments too. Had the opportunity to run a mining company for a private equity investor, which was terrific as well, which got me exposed to a lot of the challenges. And I do say that there are challenges in working mining companies have been faced with over the last 15, 20 years in working closer with communities and integrating the mining development with those communities, respecting how that can be done, bringing the communities in as a shared partner on economic development. And of course, keeping abreast on innovation. I've been, as a geophysicist, very much involved at the front end of, pioneering with innovation technologies that were around 30 years ago, kept fresh with that. It was wonderful to be part of CMIC, to be part of that platform as major companies around the globe in the middle, even the not so major companies were involved in that sharing of ideas on the development of mining innovation technology that could be applied. So it's been a wonderful career. It's very one-dimensional. It's been in mining, but touched a lot of aspects of it.
From the sounds of it, you've gone end to end, and even the entrepreneurial aspect, startup company all the way to majors on the board, et cetera. It's an amazing amount of experience. And you did mention, Gordon, challenges, right? One of the challenges the mining companies are facing now, one of the largest challenges or risks, is in the realm of ESG. Now, we know ESG is a really complicated topic. It's multidimensional, as you've alluded to. We're not going to solve the issue of ESG today, but we'd like to hear your thoughts with your extensive experience, as an investment banker, mining company, innovation, et cetera. What do you think the future holds for mining companies with respect to capital investments into mining in the future?
Yeah, no, that's a very, very large question, and a multi-trillion-dollar question, I would suggest. We've companies, from how boards are looking at ESG is a very complicated question, as you've said. And there's boards are, their remuneration of chief executives and C-suites are now being linked to performance targets, KPIs are being linked to environmental and sustainability targets. So you're starting to get that pushing down into that, when you get into the compensation of it, you get the attention of the management teams who are now, they're right at the front edge on the strategic decisions they're making, the financial decisions they're making are now, being driven by how effective they are at meeting, ESG targets. And how our financings then being, how are investors looking, where can you find the capital, where can you find the cheapest cost of capital? That's always the directive of the CFO, of the chief executive of the suite, is finding that cheapest cost of capital to provide the lubrication and to move these projects forward. And seeing some sustainability linked notes have come out, facilities rather. You've seen Tech put out a $4 billion one. Nuance put out a sustainability linked facility as well. So you're seeing these things coming out in the industry, and these are large commitments, and linking them to sustainability measures. If you stand back a little bit further, I think the entire value of our entire industry, and Carl, you and I have shared this comment, is about $1.4 trillion today. That's taking all the value of the mining companies from BHP, Rio, all the way down to say the $20 million junior, but 1.4 trillion. So that's half the size of a Microsoft today. Stand back and think about that. Half the size, the entire value of our industry being half the size of one tech giant. So that shows what the capital flows are going. So how, for the next decade, how do we bring that capital back to mining, back into this? It keeps it, which is, as we know, it's critical to everything we touch, everything we have. Energy is critical. It has a mining component. Everything we have, everything around us is a mining component, and it's critical for society's development. And how do we bring that, get that attention back on mining and get that education out there on why mining is so important and critical? So in my view, I think that's the biggest challenge we face as an industry, is bringing mining, that awareness of what mining provides, and its critical importance, and its return on investment that it can provide too. And so I think bringing in, it's terrific to see sustainability linked products coming out there, financings. If they provide a cheap cost of capital, companies are going to look at them, and they'll issue them. That's what their job is. Will there be buyers for some of these products? Yes. And securities? Yes, there will be. But I think we need more than that. We need to have, in order to get the amount of capital that's required to move through this massive decarbonization effort and energy transition, we're talking trillions of dollars. We need that capital flow to come in at the first place. And to do that, we've got to show that mining not only can create that return on investment, it's also critical. So we've got to have that. It has that positive impact on society. So I think we've got to be looking at it from that perspective to get that education out there.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And considering that, as you said, Gordon, to get that capital flow back to mining, compared to the sexy companies like Microsoft or sexy industries like that, is there a role for innovation in that, or innovation organizations like CMIC? And if so, what is it?
Absolutely. That showing that when mining relies on this. Mining is always being innovative. We've always been out there. We don't talk about it enough. We don't showcase it enough. Some of the things we were doing, like we've got automated operations. It's been up in the Pilbara in West Australia for Rio Tinto and BHP. For over a decade, they've had automated mines. They've got automated rail systems, automated port systems. You can go onto YouTube and you can see these. This has been going for years. We don't talk about that. We don't showcase that. Wow, that's pretty cool. I want to come into that business. That's what I want to do. So to attract the people we need, the talent we need, let's make sure that they're aware of what we're doing, and we need more of this.
Yeah.
And we can lever off of that. And the platform of some of the exciting things that we've got going in CMIC, like our people, are the young engineers out there, the young entrepreneurs, the business developers, aware of these opportunities, what's going on. I think seeing that, we're doing it. We don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about our industry enough. Really, we're all more on the defensive than we are going out and being loud and proud about what we do and what we provide to society.
No, I would agree 100%. We do actually with another group of people this week. We had the exact same conversation. It was actually at a board meeting. So what are we going to do about it? like it's easy to talk about it, but what do we need to do about it to get that message out there? We need to do things like this and get it to the general public. We need to go to the schools at the high school or even below the high school level to get them to understand exactly what the industry means. So, sorry, go ahead, Gordon.
To bring in capital flow
Yeah.
from that perspective with my,
Yeah.
my development hat on, and it is all about development. It's looking forward. Development moves forward, and it's in concert. It's within cooperation with the communities, the indigenous communities, the local communities, the governments as well, all the stakeholders and employees too. It's a big component, big stakeholder, of course.
And your comment about stakeholders, Gordon, I had this conversation a couple of years ago. Would you consider the stakeholders that we thought were stakeholders 10 years ago the same, or is that stakeholder group expanded? Is it different than it was a couple of years ago, 5, 10 years ago?
My own view, Carl, it's always been the same. I think we're now recognizing them a little bit differently.
Okay.
I think we are recognizing them, and we're working with them. Whereas I think, yes, I can be critical of our industry. We didn't work as closely with our communities as we are now, and bringing them in as suppliers, bringing them as co-investors, bringing them in as real economic partners.
Absolutely. So, Gordon, any closing thoughts on this whole complex issue of ESG? We could go on for days on this, I know, but any other closing thoughts that you'd like to portray to the audience today?
Well, I think one other point I would just make to your mention, Carl, is mining. We do a lot of things. We have been involved. We're one of the best managers of water, for example.
Yeah.
We've been managing water very well. 60, 70, 80% of water on mines at mine sites is recycled already. Most people don't recognize that. We could be teaching other industries effective water management.
Yeah.
We could be teaching other industries effective initiatives on using less power than more. As the world becomes massively power hungry, let's look at things, and we're developing this on the CMIC platform, of course. There are technologies that actually can do more by using less. So just some things to tuck away, and that's what mining is doing. We need some help on that. Anyone watching this who wants to get involved in some exciting technologies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gordon. So that's a wrap for today for Innovation at 5. Thank you, Gordon. This is a great conversation. As I said, it certainly begs the question of whether or not we need a much broader conversation with more people. We'll talk about doing that in the future. So for those of you that look at this video, if you want any further information on the topic or would like to contact Mr. Bogden, please feel free to reach out to CMIC and we'll go from there. Have a great day, Gordon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. Cheers.